Hello everyone and welcome to the Spookathon 2019 vlog. Super excited. I'm actually starting this video the day before, or the evening, I guess, before Spookathon officially starts. It's about 6 o'clock right now, and I just thought it would be a good time to greet you all for the coming week and talk about my plans for Spookathon, how I'm gonna approach it. Now, I haven't made my washi tape reading list yet. I'll have to show that to you later. I'm probably gonna do that in the pre-midnight hours after dinner. But until then, let's talk about the game plan. So I'm planning to start with The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson because it is the shortest book on my list, and also because I did start it so many months ago and I didn't finish it, even though I liked it, just because I was slumpy. So I want to give it its full chance. Also, it does kind of have a creepy vibe, and I think it's a good way to start off spookiness in my reading. So I'm gonna read that one first, hopefully complete it by the end of tomorrow. That is the goal, and I guess that's my game plan. I will see you maybe at midnight. I will update you. I forgot to mention that most of this vlog is going to be filmed on my phone because I'm filming a separate project that's kind of a vlog style project, and my camera's on a tripod and I don't feel like moving it off the tripod, so that's what's happening for the rest of this video. Spooky hooded jazz returns for another year of Spookathon. Because that's just what I do. It's my way of hiding my acne scars at night when I want to film a vlog moment. So, yeah. Anyway, it is 12:07. So it is officially the first day of Spookathon, I guess. And I'm going to try to get through at least, I don't know, 50 pages before I go to sleep. Or at least get past where I was when I started the book the first time. So I think I got to like page 30 the first time. So I'd like to at least get past page 30 so that I can feel like I really, accomplished a step forward. I'm probably going to read In the Dark by Booklight. I got this fabulous Booklight at Target, and it's a double bendy one, and I love it so much. I'm so because I don't like to really read with the lights on because I don't know, light bothers me. I actually read a lot better when I'm just sitting in the dark. I know I'm weird, and at least if I read with a book light, it's not bad for my eyes, So that's what we're gonna do now, and I am off to start my reading experience. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream. Hill House, not sane, stood by itself against its hills, holding darkness within. It had stood so for 80 years and might stand for 80 more. Within, walls continued upright, bricks met neatly, floors were firm, and doors were sensibly shut. Silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of Hill House, and whatever walked there, walked alone. All right, it's the afternoon of day 1 of Spookathon, and I thought it was just a great time for an update. So I've done quite a bit of reading. I'm quite happy with it. Got to page 50 of Haunting of Hill House last night, and so I thought that was a good jumping off point. And then when I woke up in the morning, while I was doing my morning crossword puzzle, and also while I was doing my magnetic poem that I do every day, I listened to some of I Will Find You by Joe Kenda. So I got, I think, a couple hours, maybe a little over a couple of hours of that listened to. Then I did intend after about I don't know, a little bit before 11 to take a little bit of a nap, but I didn't turn out to be that sleepy, so I just went back to The Haunting of Hill House and read quite a bit more of it. So right now I'm on page 108 of that. I'm quite enjoying it. I don't know if it's a book for everyone, but I really like it. The reason I say that is because it does do a lot of like descriptive things to kind of give off a mood, which I think is very important in this book because the house is kind of creepy and the mood's kind of an important element of the story. So I quite like that that's part of it. And it's also very character driven and the characters are really interesting. I think the characters and their dialogue might be kind of hard to appreciate if you don't already like old films or like know kind of like how characters were kind of represented in like 50s kind of fiction settings. I think it's set in the 50s or the early 60s. So I like those things, so I really appreciate those elements, and I also really like how the characters are interesting because you know like a lot about them and you don't know a lot about them at the same time, so it keeps them I don't know, they keep you on your toes. Other than that, all I've really done is read and do a little bit of exercise. I am planning on maybe doing some music practice and some video editing, and then after that I'm probably going to continue filming my video project that I was working on yesterday. So looking forward to that, and hopefully I will finish this tonight and then I can jump into my next book. All right, it is day 2 of Spookathon, and I did finish The Haunting of Hill House last night. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was kind of really an interesting sort of psychological sort of suspense kind of moment, especially near the end. And it's kind of like one of those books where like not very much happens, but a lot happens. And I tend to really enjoy those books. And I loved Shirley Jackson's writing style. So I gave this one 5 stars. This morning, I, of course, listened to more of I Will Find You, really enjoying that. And it's just kind of interesting to kind of hear about some of the cases that Joe Kenda can't talk about on the Homicide Hunter show. So there's like that stuff. And then, I don't know, I like his cop humor, as he calls it. It's just like just weird, dry, like, I don't know, just a weird humor that they use to like get through the creepy cases of people being crazy people. So I also this morning read a tiny bit of My Favorite Thing is Monsters, and I enjoyed the little bit that I read of that. The art is beautiful. So I am off to work, and I usually take a Lyft to work, and I always bring a book with me to read in case my Lyft driver isn't very conversational, because I suck at starting conversations, and then it's like weird awkward silence where I try to play on my phone, and I'd rather read a book when that happens. And My Favorite Thing is Monsters is a little too big to fit in my work backpack, so I thought I would just go ahead and bring Mr. Mercedes, go ahead and start this, because even though this book is rather large too, it's going to actually fit in my backpack way better than My Favorite Thing is Monsters. But I'll probably come home and read My Favorite Thing is Monsters because work days are graphic novel days. I'm just more inspired to read graphic novels on the days when I work because I'm usually, tired because I work at night. So yeah, it's 2:28 now. We'll see what I feel like later today. Maybe tomorrow I'll do a like what's in my backpack video, but I'm not gonna have time to do that today because I need to run. The dictionary says the word monster comes from the Latin word monstrum, which means to show, like to demonstrate. But the mob says we've never seen monsters, so they can't be there. The truth is that there are a lot of things we don't see every day that are right under our noses, like germs and electricity. Just maybe monsters are right under our noses too. it's day 3 of Spookathon. So I feel pretty happy with the reading that I've gotten done since my last update. So I mostly did reading when I came back home around 9 o'clock, and I got close to halfway through My Favorite Thing is Monsters, and then I didn't feel like reading I usually like go to bed at 12, which is kind of late, but I usually like start trying to go to sleep by then, and usually I do read some before then, but I just didn't feel like reading, so I read until like, 12, and then was like, I'm fine. But I think a couple hours is good, and I got almost halfway through My Favorite Thing is Monsters, read a little bit of that this morning, so I'm happy where I am with that. I thought that one would probably take me a couple of days to finish anyway. Now, of course, I didn't end up starting Mr. Mercedes yet, so I still have that to start. But I did, of course, in the morning when I was doing all my things that I mentioned on Monday, because I do those every day, I did listen to some of my audiobook, and so I'm pretty happy so far with what I did. I'm gonna probably try to finish My Favorite Thing is Monsters tonight when I get home from work. I'm off to work in a few minutes, like 15 minutes. I'm wearing my X-Men shirt today because I am actually feeling like really sore in my neck and arms, and I need like the superhero inspiration. But I thought, as promised, I would do a what's in my work backpack video, so let's see how this goes. So I have a Stranger Things backpack because I thought this was so cute. I found it on Amazon and I needed a backpack, and so I went with the Stranger Things look. So in the front pocket, I of course have a Doctor Who wallet. Still need to continue watching Doctor Who, but at least I've made it to the 12th Doctor. And then I have some painting tape. This is so that my little kids walk tightrope, or like I make a little tightrope out of tape and then they walk it, and I play the tightrope song from The Greatest Showman, and it's super cute because they're like 3 to 5. And there are some spare socks in case I forget socks. They say courage on them, and they're my favorite color, lime green. So yay, they're actually dirty because I wore them last week. There's an extra energy shot in there. And then there's these all natural deodorant wipes. Love those because they're super handy, and the tea tree oil and stuff in it smells actually really good. In the middle, today I teach hip hop. So I have this hip hop in a box, and it basically has flashcards in it. They're like hip hop flashcards with how to do the moves, and then the kids can like play games where they like pick flashcards and stuff, but also it helps me like remember what's like easy for 5 to 8-year-olds to do. Then I have a pencil bag, which just basically has highlighters and pencils and things for the musical theater class, so that they have things if they need to make notes. And sometimes I put the brick in this to charge my phone if I need to do that. I have a script for the musical theater show. We're doing Cinderella this time. I have decorated it because my little kids that are like 6 to 8 still decorate their scripts, so I join in on the fun. 3 to 5-year-olds don't necessarily have spatial awareness yet, so I have some dots here that are all different colors, as you can see, and that's just for them to sit on, so they learn how to sit in circles or stand on, so they learn how to like have distance between each other for like the dance and stuff. And then I have a pencil sharpener. Then I have this portfolio. I basically keep kid stickers in here, rule sheets, different curriculum things that I might need in this, so that's handy. Last but not least, I have my required dance shoes that I might need. I mostly teach things that need jazz shoes, so I have tan jazz shoes, I have black jazz shoes, I have some ballet shoes here, and then I always tie my hip hop shoes to the outside of my bag. After I put everything back in, I always put my phone charger in there. Got this cute hedgehog cord protector that I just leave on there. He's super adorable. On the side for my water bottle, I don't put my normal water bottle in there. I actually put my kombucha in there. That's my favorite kombucha, raspberry hibiscus. I just need tea in my life, so I have to have my kombucha. Now, my water bottle goes alongside because, as you can see, it's ginormous. So we just carry that. So that was a crazy edition of what's in my backpack. None of you probably cared, but I just felt like breaking up the monotony. I have zero room for Mr. Mercedes to fit in my bag. So I'm just gonna bring, I think, like this manga that I've been reading for like 3 weeks, even though it's super short, but I just like always end up having to read other things. I'm just gonna read this Queen's Knight manga if I have time to read. So I'm gonna stick this in my bag because it will actually fit. It's 5:40 on day 5 of Spookathon. I have failed vlogging not only today, but for sure yesterday. Yeah, I was not in a good mental or physical place yesterday. I wasn't feeling very good. My body was having a lot of problems because my neck and spine pretty much for the last couple of weeks has been really messed up and really irritated, and just I probably need to go to the chiropractor. And I have ADD and dyspraxia, which both affect my nervous system, which is mostly resonating in your spine. So it was not a good day. For example, I spent most of the morning just crying for no apparent reason. I mostly spent the day like just chilling. Like I didn't want to like stress myself and try to do too much and then actually get like really sick, because I kind of felt like I might be getting like the achy stuff that you get before you get sick. And so I just laid under my weighted blanket, watched episodes of X-Files because that soothes me. And I did finish 2 books. I feel a lot better today. I did everything that I needed to do to like get myself well again, both physically and mentally. So yay for that. And like I said, I did finish 2 of my reads. I finished My Favorite Thing is Monsters and I Will Find You. So My Favorite Thing is Monsters was really good. I'm really glad that my mom recommended it to me. I mean, other people on book 2 talked about it, but my mom was like begging me to read it. And it is really dark. I was warned before going in that it was super dark, but it's darker than I thought it was, but in a really wonderful way. If you like really hard-hitting stories, it's definitely something that you would enjoy if you like that type of thing. I like the psychology of people, so I enjoyed that it was hard-hitting, but like prep yourself, because it goes deep and dark and sad. It's that kind of book. You know what I mean? All the things are covered. And it's like part historical novel, part sort of a murder mystery type story, and then also I would say like a social allegory, and it mixes those sort of genres really well. So that was to be appreciated, as well as the really detailed artwork. I gave it 5 stars. I quite enjoyed I Will Find You too. I haven't read a true crime book since, I don't know, In Cold Blood, like a couple of years ago. So it was interesting kind of diving back into the true crime genre. And Joe Kenda's book is really cool. If you don't know who he is, he has a show called Homicide Hunter on the ID channel. He used to be a homicide detective, and his show basically talks about like the different cases he worked on. The book itself also talks about different cases that he worked on. Some of the stories might disturb you. I did cringe on a couple of them. It's very deep and dark too. I will say that Joe Kenda, if you watch his show, has this really great sarcastic humor. It does balance everything out. It makes you laugh when you need to. Also, he does, because it's kind of a memoir, throw in some stories about his family life and his wife and children, and those also kind of lighten the mood as well, because you can't just have like all the dark stories, you know, and he knows that. So I think that really was a nice balance in the book. I also would say that even though it did meander a little bit, because I find like a lot of memoir sort of books do meander, not out of like doing on purpose, but just because I don't think people think of things linearly when they're writing, you know, things about their life. I know that I personally wouldn't. So it does meander occasionally, but for the most part, in comparison to most memoir-ish type books or true crimey type books, I would say that it's pretty well organized and pretty well put together. And I ended up giving that one 4.5 stars. Probably one of the better nonfiction sort of memoir books that I've read. So if you like true crime already, it's worth checking out, and do check out the audiobook because Joe Kenda reads it, and I really like the quality of his voice, and I also like how you can kind of get his personality through listening to the audiobook. So bomb on my second read. As for reading today, I have only read 30 pages of Mr. Mercedes. I kind of, after reading 2 books, wanted to kind of like think about them, digest them before jumping into something else. So I did jump into it this morning and a little tiny bit this afternoon. I'm enjoying what I've read. I also got a little bit of a giggle because the main character, that's a detective in this book, does have his own brand of cop humor, and some of the things he said sound very much like something Joe Kenda would say, so it was kind of like an ironic kind of rollover from my nonfiction read. All I've done pretty much today is do some exercise and some music practice, so I haven't done a heck of a ton, and I do want to do a couple of things with filming, maybe seeing if I can like edit a little bit of this video, so we'll see. I'm thinking that most of this is going to get read like in the lateness of the night. So I'm gonna probably get my book light out and do this. Now, I would probably get through this faster if I wanted to audiobook it. I'm kind of reluctant to use the audiobook though, because it's read by the same guy that did the Raven Cycle books. And I did listen to, when the Raven Cycle read-along was going on, I did listen to some of those books in audiobooks so I could complete them a little quicker. And I didn't really like the reader very much. Like, his narration voice is fine, but the way he sometimes chooses to do characters like drove me bonkers. And he reads the audiobook for Mr. Mercedes, but I feel like I could finish this book if I audiobooked it some. So I don't know, guys. I guess I'll decide that as time goes on. Oh, I forgot to show you my book mail. Guys, I got this like Rumple Buttercup book by Matthew Gray Gubler. It's a children's book, but I still buy children's books because they are bomb and short and lovely and have cute messages. And I think this one is going to be one of those. I think it's about like this little weird dude, and he like learns about being different and how everybody is different in their own way, and like it sounds super sweet and cute, and it's by Matthew Gray Gubler, like I said, who, if you don't know him, he is an actor on the TV show Criminal Minds. He also directs things and stuff, and he writes things obviously as well. So he wrote this children's book and he illustrated it. So I'm really excited to give it a read. It's thicker than I thought it would be. So lots of little pages on it. Oh, I can't wait to throw this in my children's book section. Oh. Hodges sits where he is for 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6, 8, completely still. He holds the letter in his hand, looking at the Andrew Waite print on the wall. At last, he puts the pages on the table beside his chair and picks up the envelope. The postmark is right here in the city, which doesn't surprise him. His correspondent wants him to know he's close by. It's part of the taunt. His correspondent would say it's part of the fun. Okay, so we're going to try this weird wackadoodle angle because I've never tried this angle for a vlog video, and why the world not? I don't know. It's awfully far away, and you can see my blonde gnome kind of pajama bottoms, but I hope it gives you fabulous wacky joy. So it's 3:34 on day 6 of the readathon. I did end up completing about 140 pages of Mr. Mercedes. I am enjoying it so far. It's kind of pretty much your like standard like mystery thriller book with like a murder investigation, but it still has like a fun flair to it. It's one of those where you kind of know who the perpetrator of the incident is, but it's like kind of an exploration of their mind while the main character, Bill Hodges, who's the ex-detective, is investigating. And the fun really, I guess, will come from basically seeing how he finds the dude, even though you know who the dude is. So I enjoy those. I also enjoy mysteries where you kind of can guess who it is and you don't know who is the perpetrator. But I think that setup works for this particular book and what the author wants to do with it. So jam on that. I did crack up because Stephen King did some references to his own books in this book, which isn't uncommon. He often does that, but usually that's because his books take place in like the same world. In this book, however, I feel like this book's not part of like the same world as some of his other books. It's basically set in a situation where his books are fiction, so he's using them as pop culture references, which makes it uber hilarious for some reason. Like, I got like the biggest giggle. I did actually end up getting the audiobook only because I wanted to read for an extra hour last night, or like progress through the book for an extra hour, but I'd already read the book for probably 2 or 3 hours and my eyes were a little tired, so I just went ahead and got the audiobook even though I was like on the fence about it. I actually, surprise, surprise, ended up quite enjoying the audiobook so far of what I've listened to it. I still prefer to like read it in print, because not because of the reader of the audiobook, but just because I want to make sure I'm getting all the little details. But I know now that I guess the reader works for me and his choices work for me in this particular book, whereas they didn't really work so well in the Raven Cycles books. So that's good to know, because that means that I will not be returning that audiobook if things continue to go well, and it will really help me to progress. I am like close to a third of the way through the book, so maybe I can get those last 2/3 in the next couple of days. I don't know. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to read tomorrow, so I'm going to try to get through as much of it as I can tonight. I'm going to continue reading this because I don't really feel like doing much today, and you might as well read. It's 1:52 on day 7. I don't have another hand to hold up 7 fingers of the readathon. And yay, I did actually end up completing Mr. Mercedes just a few minutes ago by like reading it a little bit, listening to the audiobook a little bit, all that jam while I was like getting ready and stuff. So yes, I did end up really enjoying this. I will say that it's pretty much the run-of-the-mill like detective novel. I mean, of course, it has a little bit of the author's flair on it, but it's pretty much just like a straightforward detective thriller. If you've read one, you've read one similar to this. So it's not like anything new or anything, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it fits in the genre that it's supposed to fit in, which, you know, you got to go with that. The characters are really interesting. I love the character Holly with all my heart, and she's probably my favorite character in the whole entire book, so like extra awesomeness on that point. Now, it's not my favorite Stephen King. I definitely have read Stephen King books that I, you know, love more than that book. And yeah, I think part of that is because it was just such a straightforward thriller. I think I would have liked it a little bit more if it was like a psychological thriller, because I think that's just how I like my thrillers in general. But like I said, not a bad book. The end was really exciting and bomb, and I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like yelling at my audiobook like I was like, why can't cell phones just work when you need them? And like I was like laughing out loud occasionally too, because sometimes the characters had a little bit of like wackadoodle comedy in the stress that was the end of the book. So yeah, quality end. I'm not sure what to rate this. Maybe like something like a 4.25. I think it's not quite a 4.5 for me, but I definitely think it's more than a 4. So we're going to settle for 4.25 stars. I'm definitely excited to read the next book in the series. So yeah, it was a good one. I liked it. Now, I'm going to hang out with a friend for the next few hours. So I'm definitely not going to try to complete another book, but I will, when I get done hanging out with my friend, if there's a little bit of time in the readathon, maybe read a little bit more of The Shining, since that was my bonus book, just to like, you know, finish out the readathon. We'll see if I end up doing that. If I end up being super tired, then maybe that won't happen. But guess what? I already started the book, and I'll read it anyway. So it's a bonus book anyway. I guess I will see you with some kind of closing statement later, but now I'm gonna go live life. All right, I'm back. It's like 9:14. I really don't feel like reading for till like midnight or whatever when this readathon ends in my time zone. I'm just kind of super tired right now, so I'm just filming a little closer to this vlog video, and it's fine. Like, I read all the books that I needed to read to meet all the challenges, and it was like a really good readathon because I didn't rate anything under 4 stars. I read Haunting of Hill House, which I gave 5. I read My Favorite Thing is Monsters, which I also gave 5 stars. I Will Find You was a 4.5 star, which I don't often give nonfiction 4.5. Usually they're like 4 stars, even because, I don't know, I just prefer fiction. So that was a pretty good set. And then Mr. Mercedes, I gave 4.25 stars, which is kind of a weird rating. So they were all really good books, and I would recommend all of them if they sound interesting to you during this vlog. So I am going to just sign off for now. I hope you guys enjoyed my vlog, and I will see you all soon, my fabulous peeps. Bye!